the smartest sports YouTuber, back with another video. And in this video, we gotta talk about Joe Big Dick MVP Burrow putting 500 yards and beating the shit out of a good Falcons team, a frisky Falcons team. Joe Burrow, 500 yards. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Oh my, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky he's my quarterback. The best quarterback in the league. Absolute annihilation, destruction of a good Atlanta Falcons team. Hold on. Let me gather myself. All right. I'll try to ignore the fact that Joe Burrow is the MVP, the best quarterback in the league right now, because we got to talk about this game. People said the Falcons had a chance in this game. Many people were picking the Falcons. Many people were saying this would be a close game, a tough game. But what did I say? Second half of the Ravens game, the Cincinnati Bengals offense figured it out. It figured it out. Look at that second half of that Ravens game. They had three possessions. One ended in one play, an interception, a terrible interception. The second one, they drove all the way down the field at the goal line. They started doing stupid, gimmicky plays, set them back. They end up with no points. The third drive in the second half of that Ravens game, they go down, score a touchdown, what should have been a game-winning touchdown, but they scored a touchdown with less than 2 minutes left to take the lead in that game. Then the next week, you go to New Orleans. We already know what happened there. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks for Joe Burrow, MVP Burrow. The offense looked elite, and they won while giving up over 230 rushing yards to the Saints, and they still pulled it out, still scored 30 points. Then you go into this game, you say, all right, did they really figure it out in the second half of the Ravens game? Is that true? Oh, they did it. They did it in the second half against the Ravens. They did it against the Saints, but can they keep it going? Now you have Atlanta coming in, who's a frisky team, who's been in every game of the season. A lot of close games, and they've blown some teams out. And they're coming off their best win of the season against the 49ers, blowing them out. So can you do it against Atlanta? And what happens? Right out the gate, they receive the ball, a couple plays, 60-yard bomb to Tyler Boyd, and it's really like that for most of the day. Joe Burrow was elite, the best quarterback in the league, and he looked like it. His accuracy was legendary on Sunday. It was legendary. 34-42. His bad throw percentage was 2%. 2% bad throw percentage. That is insane. He's by far the best quarterback in the league, I try to tell people. But if you look at that game as a whole, what you needed to do against the Falcons was get out to an early lead, and they did exactly that. First 2 drives, 2 touchdowns, 14-0. And the offense as a whole was cooking. Zach Taylor was doing a great job. Zach Taylor, he does some stupid shit, but he does adjust. And that's a good thing about a coach is, are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to change things up? And Zach Taylor has done that. Again, barely any plays under center and most plays out of the shotgun, and you're just killing teams. So this game really showed that if you're talking about an AFC race, obviously the most dangerous team in the AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals, the reigning defending champs of this conference. Then you got Buffalo, then you got Kansas City. After that, there's really not any teams left after that that's a real threat. I mean, you got the Bengals, then you got the Bills, then you got Kansas City. Other than that, there's really no one else. If you want to look at other positives from this game, Tuafili, the D tackle that they signed because of the injuries, he's looking like a stud. He's looking like a beast. He played really good in the minutes he got in the Saints game, and then he played great in this game. He was the highest graded defensive player on this defense, and he looked great. In the run game especially, and that's what we needed because DJ Reader was missing, and he did a great job. So maybe a positive that came out of the injuries is you got Tuafili, so now when DJ Reader gets back, you could have 2 monsters up front that are elite at stopping the run. So there's a good thing. Logan Wilson was out. Marcus Bailey played good. The linebackers as a whole played good. So it's good that this Bengals defense is showing its depth. Eli Apple was a negative. I mean, he got burnt. Eli Apple I already felt this way. I'm not one of the people that think he's trash. I mean, he's on a really good deal. He's only making $2 million, and he plays a lot better than that. But he's not as bad as everyone says he is, but he should not be the number 2 corner on this team. He should not be a number 2 cornerback on a team. So they really need to, I mean, I'm glad Cam Taylor-Britt got playing time, because Eli Apple, he's just not it. He got burnt again. And last year and this year, he'll get burnt, but the quarterbacks will miss the throw. So I remember that kind of stuff, because that could kill you in a playoff game, in a big game. That could kill you and cost you the game if that happens. But quarterbacks have been missing the throw when he's gotten burnt. But this game, they didn't miss the throw, and that was a big possession, because you had less than a minute left in the first half. Remember, we received, so they get the ball back to start the second half. So that could have been a huge momentum shift. They go down less than a minute, one play, bomb, touchdown on Eli Apple's head. So that was terrible from Eli Apple. And then the Bengals punt. This is another negative. The Bengals punt at the end of the first half. All you have to do is just have a decent punt, either far enough, have enough hang time to where they have to fair catch it, or just kick it out of bounds. But no, Kevin Huber kicks a low, short punt for like 30 yards. The dude takes it, gets in the field goal range at the last seconds of the first half. So right there, those mistakes. You gave up 10 points in less than a minute of the first half, and they get the ball to start the second half. So that shit, that's terrible. I mean, Kevin Huber needs to go. He's the fourth worst in punting average yards. So he needs to go. As the later the season gets on, he gets worse. I don't know if that's because of, I'm assuming that's because maybe his age. He's an old punter, so maybe as the season gets going, that's why his leg is just getting worse and worse. But he needs to go. He's been terrible the past couple weeks, and punter's a big deal. Like, people might not realize it, but field position is a big deal. Shit like that's a big deal. So Kevin Huber, they need to get rid of him. It's his time. He needs to go. Drew Chrisman or whatever his name is, he needs to be the starting punter. I know people were like, oh, well, it's because of a holding. He's practiced holding enough. And punting is, like I said, punting is important in the game. And Kevin Huber screws the Bengals time and time after again, and just makes it a lot harder on this defense. And yeah, so Kevin Huber needs to go. Eli Apple should not be the cornerback 2. He should be the CB 3 or 4. So hopefully Cam Taylor-Britt turns out to be a good pick. And really, that's all I have to say. I mean, the offensive line looked great. Jonah Williams, this was his best game of the year. And the thing with the offensive line is the interior has been playing good this season, but the tackles have been playing trash. And now you're seeing Collins and Jonah Williams starting to get back to what they should have been doing in the first place. So if the tackles play how they should have played and the interior keeps playing how they're playing, this offensive line is going to be pretty good around, even if they're league average. If they're league average with Joe Burrow in this receiving core, then you have a special offense. So the O-line's looking a lot better. Joe Burrow's just playing at an MVP, elite, historic level the past couple weeks. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that game. I'll get more into it in another video, but is there anything else about this game? Let's see. Oh, yeah, I guess that throw to Jamar Chase was one of Burrow's best throws of his career. I mean, I don't think a single quarterback in the league could have made that throw other than Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase was pinned up against the sideline. He had a cornerback on his back, safety help, and Joe Burrow puts it perfectly in the corner of the end zone. So that's the type of things that when people say, oh, well, what's Joe Burrow's elite traits? He doesn't have any elite traits. First of all, accuracy is one of the most important things for a quarterback, and Joe Burrow's the most accurate quarterback in the league. So that's one of the most important elite traits you could have. And Joe Burrow is top 10 in rushing quarterbacks. So if you look at rushing yards for quarterbacks, Joe Burrow is like 8th, and he's tied 1st or 2nd for touchdowns. And I told you Joe Burrow's mobility was going to be a big reason why he makes another jump this year. And you see it. He's top 10 in rushing quarterbacks. He's top of the league in quarterback touchdowns on the ground. So Joe Burrow's mobility has been a big plus this year. Joe Burrow's accuracy is coming back to the best quarterback in football. And you love to see it. I mean, this team, I try to tell people it's a special team when you have Joe Burrow, when you have these receivers, when you have an offensive line that will improve. like I said, the Steelers game was the floor, was the absolute floor of this offense, because you had Joe Burrow coming back from major surgery, no training camp. The offensive line, a lot of the starters on the offensive line barely did anything in training camp. They barely had time together, and you had to face a defensive front with Cam Hayward against a fourth-round rookie and TJ Watt going against Lyle Collins, who barely had a training camp. So that was the absolute floor. I told you this, and it turns out that way. Now the Bengals are back. They're back to being the champions they were, and the rest of the league is scared. They're fucked. So that is what it is. I'll leave that video off there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you just listen to the smartest sports YouTuber on the planet. That's a fact. And I'm out.